Whenever you guys are situated, go ahead and make your way comfortably all the way down. For this first moment, while we're getting our body settled into the earth, take a moment to rub your hands on your palms. So just kind of softly rubbing back and forth. The idea is more to feel sensation of touch rather than necessarily try to create heat. So just kind of easily let yourself feel around all that surface area. Getting ourselves a little bit more into our bodies, into the sense of how it feels to be alive, to have touch. Eventually, perhaps if this feels natural, we bring our hands onto our eyes or onto our heart. Even for a couple of breaths, you can always drop it after a moment. But feel that gentle touch inviting you into a really deep space, at least for a breath or two. At this point, the hands are kind of intuitive. It's up to you. You can keep them there. You could shift them to a new spot. But bring your internal closed eye awareness even deeper down toward the belly. Imagining that it's like there's a little seed that our intuition is starting to touch on in that belly area. Maybe it's a seed that's become a little bit more hardened because of sorrow in our life. The seed that when we were born, it was fresh, it was innocent. It knew how to grow. It invited us to remember presence, to remember breath, to remember happiness. Maybe that seed's become a little bit hardened over time because of sorrow, because of grief, because of even trauma, physical trauma. So in our class today, imagine shifting your focus even further down to the legs. In our class today, we imagine perhaps one thing that's been affecting the legs, affecting that seed, is the quality of earth filling our roots, quality of earth filling our legs. So maybe where once there was soil, maybe it's become caked over time and hard. Maybe there hasn't been much water, metaphorically, these roots. So in our class today, we'll especially be focusing on some of those muscle groups in the legs, including the hamstrings, including the calves, the feet. We'll be focusing on some of these really good areas, imagining that it's like we're kind of working the soil, freshening up the spots that feel caked and tight. We're making it so that by the end of class, when we come back to the seed, we can drop that seed into the soil. And that seed is so ready to be soft, to grow. So that's the image that will carry us into this class. So when you're ready, go ahead and start off. Knees into the chest. And use these first couple of breaths to help us bring extra awareness to how the legs are. So maybe the hands kind of slide down the shins and up the thighs. Maybe we're rocking around a bit, tuning into hips, low back, all those good areas. Even we take a moment sliding clear down to the toes and the feet. Just notice the quality of the earth filling up our legs. And the first thing we'll do here together is a really nice restorative stretch that will help us dive quite deeply into our legs. So with this one, we can release our feet for a moment while we grab our strap. We'll want to open our strap all the way up, setting it up for a huge loop. So feed both ends of the strap through both pedal pieces and then back out the last one so that way the loop holds itself in place. And have this loop be about as open as possible. If anybody has too short of a strap for this next one, I have a really big one so I can trade. But the idea is, once you've got the loop in place, stepping your right foot into one end of the loop and the back of the head into the other end so that we've got a huge hammock set up. So you'll find that there's really one spot of the head that works. If it's too far down your head, the neck just kind of cranks back. If it's too high up, it might slip off the top of your head. So find that one spot that just works and holds the head in place. Allowing the hamstring to get an easy stretch. At the same time, neck is also relieving some of its tension. So if you're here and you don't really feel any stretch at all, you can take the strap and tighten it up, or just go ahead and switch gears. We'll be here for just a little while. Try to ease that hamstring just with the breath. The deep inhales help us to sink deeper into some of those tissues, the fascia, the muscle fibers. Deep exhales reminding us it's safe to relax. Let's take one more huge breath cycle, flowing in for this side, flowing out. If you just got yourself set up on this side a short while ago, you can stay a couple of extra breaths. Otherwise, grab onto the two ends of the fabric of the strap to help support your neck as you switch your legs out. Eventually, left will be inside. Right is welcome to start dropping down. Let's give the same time, the same patience to the second side whenever you're there. Feel your neck, make sure it's comfortable. Let your neck kind of surrender to that gentle stretch. Let's try to relax here for another 3 good slow breaths. For the third breath, you can remove the head, remove the strap off to the side. Let the left leg slide long on the ground, right knee comes back in. With hands around that knee, just give the right knee a good tug into the shoulder. Start to take the knee about halfway into a twist across the body. About 45-degree angle to the left. Breathe a couple of breaths through that outer thigh, outer hip area. If this is touching really important deep spots in your soils, stay. If you'd like to continue to ease deeper into the twist, you can choose how deep to go. That right hip returns back to the ground, straighten the right leg up to sky. This time it's a muscular straightening. We'll let this right leg do 3 large circles. We'll take this one counterclockwise first. So out wide, drop down, sweep up. 2 more like that. And then switch directions. 3, 2, 1. Good. Lower it all the way to the earth. Let that leg rest. Left knee starts to come in. It's a bent knee. Hands grab around the knee. Give 2 or 3 breaths, just pulling it in tight. Start to take it to that 45-degree angle across the body. Heading partway to the right. Feel outer hip or outer thigh. Like to stay here, that's beautiful. If you'd like to ease a little bit deeper to the twist, that's also fine. One more good breath into the belly. Soften that hip out. Left leg muscularly straightens up. We'll take each direction 3 times. Choose the first. Taking it 3, 2, 1. And reverse. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Drop the leg to the ground for a moment. Stretch the arms up overhead like we're waking up first thing. Take a huge inhale. Exhale, lift the fingers up. Try to rise up to a bit of a crunch. Coming up to sit if you can. Once you're sitting, walk the palm face down, hands right under the glutes, and lower right back down to elbows. Lift the heart up to sky, and then rock the head back. Fish pose, heart is lifting up super high. Feel that area like it's trying to crack open from a hard shell. Maybe that seed has formed a hard shell where there doesn't necessarily need to be one. One more good inhale. Nice exhale, chin lifts up. Ease the hands out as you prop yourself up. Let's take a couple of breaths. Just circling the arms up to sky, reach high. The arms drop back down to the sides. Exhale. 2 more. One last inhale, stay. Exhale, try to keep as much straight as you can. Not work. Let the head Just drop down and get just a nice relaxed stretch. Rolling the spine back up. Slide this right foot in, the knee is pointing up to sky. We're going to take a twist. So left hand or left elbow grabs around that knee. It's a twist to front or side. So right hand is behind us. Feel yourself trying to lift the spine up to rotate around. As we return forward, let's cradle this right leg out. So right hand at the knee, left hand at the foot. Or if you want to slip it deeper into forearms or elbows, that's fine. Get a couple of really good rocks. As that hip feels a lot better from rocking, we'll start to set the right ankle down onto the left thigh. So you're welcome to have hands behind or even gently using right hand to push the right knee open. Some people feel really good sliding the foot in closer. That makes the angle steeper. Some people might even do a complete hug all the way around both legs. So it's whatever balance will work and whatever just feels good for that right. We relax back out with ease, hands flat behind us. Let this unit tilt over to the left for a moment, and then over to the right. One more time each. And when we finish this one, let's slide legs back out long, how we started. 3 good breaths. Inhale, circle up to the sky. Try to keep the spine tall as the arms drop back down. Exhale. Knees can absolutely be bent. 2. 1. It's time to put it forward fold. Again, use this time to ease the neck tension. Roll the head left, roll the head right. As we ease up, this hits left foot that slides into plant. Right hand flips, left hand is behind us. Try to lift the spine up to rotate around the vertebrae. Well, don't twist there. The mobility of the spine tends to get worse and worse for more years. So we twist like it's helping us to crack that hard shell of the knee. Another nice inhale. Exhale. When we ease out, let's try to cradle out left leg. Get it set up in a spot that helps you rock that hip a couple of times. Eases us to some of the tension. Whenever that feels good, let's take it to that figure 4. Placing the left ankle up. Maybe push that left knee open. Sometimes just leaning back is plenty of hip opening. Sometimes we choose other variations. Good. One more breath, flowing in, out. This time we'll ease our legs into cobbler's pose, bottoms of feet together. Again, just relax the spine up and forward. Maybe gentle neck stretching, just rolling left and right. Take your time trying to ease into things that feel useful. Back up. Let's take it to an easy cross-leg place, taking just a little bit more time for neck. Sitting up nice and easy. Let the right ear drop over right shoulder. I muscularly try to pull my left shoulder down and away. If it helps you to float the left fingers out to the side to have that action, that's fine. We'll let the head tilt slightly behind the right shoulder. The nose rotates up. Right ear back over right shoulder. Start to rotate the head slightly in front of the shoulder, nose turns down. We found a good, really tight spot. Either of those two directions, go back to it. Otherwise, let your head take some easy, soft half circles, rolling the head over toward left shoulder, and right back through the center to right shoulder. Let's take the ear all the way over left shoulder, normal tilt, face going forward. Head goes slightly behind the shoulder, nose goes up. You're back even over shoulder. Head goes slightly in front of shoulder, nose goes down. Another chance, either find those spots that feel really tight on this side or just do the rolling, a couple more half circles to each side. Good. Head eventually comes up. We'll make it up to a nice kneeling place. A couple of nice cat cows, spine going up and then down. Synchronize the breath. More good side looks. That second one, spine is back at neutral. Right foot slides to the back of the mat. And we continue to push back until that right heel is pushed into a calf stretch. So sometimes I have to lift the other knee off the ground, sometimes I don't. It just depends on where you feel the calf stretch. With that right calf, a couple more breaths. Lowering down, we'll switch sides. Sometimes it's just a gentle press. Sometimes we need to lift the other, adding more intensity. Just drop back down. We're taking it to a toe stretch. Try to get all 10 toes tucked. Sometimes it's just a little bit of weight heading back, and that's what the feet can handle. Sometimes it's our whole weight upright. Just listen to the feet, whatever they're okay with. One more good inhale. Exhale, come forward to release. The toes in circle or hand out. Take a moment with a downward facing dog. Just move the feet. Let the head just be heavy. No need to crank the neck back. Good. And as we lower back down to knees, we're going to take this blanket that we have and roll it up as tight as we can. We're going to use that blanket to help us kind of almost like a roller, work through some of the tightness in calves. So first, just find it kind of on the middle of your calf area. And then as you start to sit back onto it, you'll feel it increase some pressure into a massage. So use your hands wherever the balance point is. Just send a couple of breaths. You're kind of like the middle of the body of the calf. Deep breaths. If it's ever too intense, send the weight forward. Three more breaths in this spot. Then coming out enough that we'll try to shove the blanket as close into the knee crease as possible. Sitting back onto that spot. Different area, different intensity. Sometimes it's easier at this spot, sometimes it's way more. Just take some weight forward if it's a lot. It's almost like what we're trying to do right now is there's two big muscle groups for that calf. It's like we're trying to create more space, more separation, where maybe they're kind of fused and glued together. Another good inhale. Exhale. We'll take the blanket to one more spot. This one's closer to the very bottom of the calf. So this will help us with that Achilles tendon and just that bottom section. So as much weight back as this part can handle. A couple of good breaths right there. Good. One more inhale. Nice exhale. Release. Keep the blanket rolled up. We're going to leave it in just a moment. And if it kind of flattens a lot out, re-roll it so it can be kind of a nice big loop. So then when you're ready, come back up to downward facing dog and let's take some movements to ease into the calf area. So try to push one heel down as far as you can and push the other heel down as far as you can. Movement to that area. Let this be kind of like a slow motion baby step walk up to the top of the mat. So like one heel pushes back as it steps forward, and then the other heel pushes back as it steps forward. We're kind of taking a little baby step walk up to the top. Eventually we're there. Take a couple of easy breaths through the legs. Another good inhale. Nice exhale. All right. Off the heart. Good. Let's add a little bit of movement through our legs. So just a breath or two. Try to float the right knee up, balancing. Another good inhale. Exhale, back warrior 3. Softly land, warrior 1. His hands clasped behind the back. The front toes turn a little bit inward. So they're pointing just a little bit more to the right side. With the hand clasp, send the hips back. So hips are now kind of facing toward more, almost like that top corner of the mat. Hips go back. Arms pull open behind us. Just bow forward. Front knee can be nice and bent. Good. Rising back up. Turn the toes all the way to the long edge of the mat. As we go into wide angle forward fold, drop the hands down on the floor in front of you. Start walking the hands as far forward as you can. If the reach is hard, walk forward using a block. So weight of the hips need to shift back just a little bit so that the hands don't actually hold hardly any weight. Good. And we'll go into a low side lunge from here. So hands walk in. The left knee bends. Some of us can go all the way practically to a squat by glutes by the heel. Some of us need to be a bit higher. Just kind of hands supporting you, letting that inner right thigh get a stretch. Good. So one more breath on this half. Then we'll switch. Second side, trying to get that inner thigh, inner leg stretch. Beautiful. Coming back up through the center. Bow down for just a breath. And the knees roll all the way up. And we can either tilt on the feet together or jump the feet together. Back up to the top. Start to float the left knee into breath into you. Back warrior 3. Softly land warrior 1. And again, as hands clasp behind the back, the front toes turn in just a little bit. Front knee stays bent, bow to that forward roll, like the top left side of the mat. So this time come up, rotate the toes open 45-degree angles, sink the hips low as we press the thighs open with our arms. Straighten the legs. take a triangle pose to each side. So front toes turn forward, open the arms left and right. Reach right hands forward, then drop hand to thigh or shin, left hand to sky. Good, rising up, switch the feet out. So now the back toes point to the back of the mat. The other ones turn in, good. Open the arms, reach the left hand to the left. Drop it down, triangle. Inhale, exhale, rise. And we'll step our feet together at the top of the mat. Place that roll onto the mat. This is a place where having the blocks could be useful. So what we're going to start off with is trying to get the toes elevated. We'll set the feet up onto our roll, and then take a forward fold from that position. Blocks can be really useful if fingers to the floor is not the easiest. This is really, really deep to the calf. Make sure we're not increasing that tension this side. Take the head back here, so let the head drop. Feel how pushing the big toe into the blanket changes the stretch just a little bit. And release that, push the big toe open. Feel how big toe down helps the calf, that sensation of opening through the calf. So we'll shift to a warrior three, trying to keep the left foot where it is. Right foot floats back. And then softly steps down to the ground. So it shifts us back into pyramid pose. So another spot you could use the blocks. Having that elevation is just really good for the calf. Notice the knee trying to bend. See if you can try to soften the muscle, but find length. Okay, and so we're going to try to shift that right foot back forward. Good, if you like, try to accept the standing split, right leg up to sky, super different with the calf of the stretch. And then kind of bend the knee so you can get the foot placement where it's supposed to be. A couple of rests, both calves equally there. Float the left leg up to warrior three for a moment. Softly set the foot down, pyramid. Shifting that forward, try out a standing split. See how the balance is funky with that foot up. And kind of bend the knee to set the foot back down. 3 or 4 more breaths, calf shift right at the top. Good. Stepping back out of it. Still toe the feet as wide as that. Let's do the malasana. Help the hips go nice and open. This could be a spot where we allow the neck to loosen up some of its tightness again. This could be half circles or just finding the tight spots. And then going into the forward fold, straighten the legs, turn the toes forward. This time, perhaps the fingertips try to lock forward and through if the ground is in to reach that space in between legs. The quality of the earth and the legs, see if it's shifted at all. Maybe it feels like it's accepting water, it's getting kind of turned all around. Or inhale. Exhale, let's bend the knees, ease our way up. Let's scoot our mats all the way up to touch the back wall. Since you've got a socket there, just scoot a little to the side also. Here you do. Perfect. We're going to use the wall to help us do a nice standing split. So imagine I'm also at the back of the wall. What we do is we start off from a downward facing dog with the heels kind of close to the baseboard. Hands forward. And then from the downward facing dog, what you're going to do is lift your right foot up and catch the toes up on the wall. Good. That's pretty easy. I'll usually walk my hands backwards, so it's a lot deeper of a hamstring stretch. You can choose if you like pointed toes or flexed toes. I tend to prefer flexed, but it's up to you. Good, and if one knee has to be bent, try to make it not be the bottom knee. You choose how long it feels good to stay on this side. When you're ready to drop down, it's a child pose for a couple of minutes. Remember, walking away from the wall makes it easier. Good. You want the blanket underneath for the child again? We're done with the roll for now. Okay, when you feel ready for downward facing dog, second leg up, go right ahead and head on it. Got some water down the wrong pipe. Good. So ultimately your goal is to try to stay about equal so both sides are balanced. Want to walk hands closer, that's great. If it's intense, walk further or even hop your heel further from the wall. That also makes it easier. Try to stay about the same you did on the other, eventually dropping down to child. Nice easy breaths. Beautiful. So rising up, we're going to have cups close by for the next one, especially strap, maybe block if we need it for the additional help. But the idea for this next one is you start off in a pigeon pose. Your back knee, so if I'm doing right leg forward, my back knee with my left, I scoop my back knee all the way up to the wall, trying to point the toes up against the wall. This already is a nice quad stretch, so that for a lot of people will be it. If you want to go further with this one, you would take the strap around that foot and try to just see if both hands can come up into the strap. So if the balance is an issue, that's where putting the block under the hip would help. You can rock some weight onto it. If it's already just intense enough, just kind of trying to scoot the knee a little closer, that's fine. A blanket under knees is also useful, so use props if needed. Yes, and if the hip is already intense enough, just take normal pigeon, nothing wrong with that. Good, so choose your variation. Sometimes if not the strap, you could try to reach just one hand back for the foot. If it's not too intense. Good. Just be here 2 or 3 breaths on this side. We'll come out by rocking our full weight onto right hip, swing both legs wide for a moment. Sliding hands down, find a place to anchor. So maybe this is anchoring on calves, maybe it's anchoring by grabbing the big toes. Just feel your spine lifting to a nice straight angle and exposing the heart forward. More breath here. Let's exhale. Come back in. Left foot will start to come up to that spot in front of us. Right knee starts to swing back. Kick the hips up so the hips are even. Take your time kind of easing into whatever the shape wants to be on this side. Maybe one side is super, super different. Maybe you're using strap. That big back bend, even if it's just one arm. That's just grabbing onto it, or even just resting against the wall, because that is also a quad stretch. We'll try to stay about equal time. So if you've been here for a while, you're about at that spot. If you're just getting into it, rest just a little bit longer. Coming out eventually. It's another spot where we can either go wide or perhaps this time a little bit narrower with the feet. Trying to anchor on legs or toes. That heart opening forward as we tilt. It's almost like an invitation to try to invite the balls of the feet back just a little bit for that calf stretch we were experiencing earlier. Good, and then rising all the way up. Let's use the wall one more time. With this one, you're gonna sit cross-legged facing toward front door so that your right hip is kind of close to the wall. And you're gonna take just 2 circles with the right hand on the wall. So if you kind of notice, I've flipped my wall to be on this side for me. So when the right hand's on that wall, we'll take 2 circles. So the first one's just to see how the shoulder feels. When it starts to come back behind you, if it feels like it gets stuck, then I just want you to kind of scoot your hips a little bit further away from the wall, and that'll be the spot where we can trace all the way down, trace the rainbow all the way back forward, and then trace right back to that tight spot, that spot kind of level with the shoulders behind, and just breathe for a couple of breaths. Maybe the head tilts away, so left ear to left shoulder. Your nose turns down. Just find a good way to get some neck thickness. And lean away from the wall to free up this arm. Give that right arm a good hug into the chest. Left hand is what pulls it in. Good. Releasing it. One more side. Face the other way. Left hand at the wall. Do the complete circle, scooting away if it gets too tight. Second time we pause at that tight spot, maybe right about behind where the shoulder is. If it feels good to tilt the head in a certain way, take it. More breath. And ease this arm out. Left arm comes across the body. Last little stretch. And as we release, we'll start to head toward our Shavasana shape. If there's last stretches you want before Shavasana, take them. If you want legs to be up the wall, we've already got our mat there, so you could choose that if that's what feels good. If there's a different Shavasana that you would like, that's also perfectly beautiful. Let's find any last stretches or any type of Shavasana that would feel good. And ease into that shape. Returning just back to easy, deep breaths. Imagine your mind's eye could take you back to where that seat is. Sometimes that seed is hardened because it's touched upon grief, really hard things. And sometimes we weren't willing to feel that grief. So if that's the experience now as you're touching upon the seed, maybe let yourself breathe through some deep emotions now that we weren't willing to previously. Maybe we're just breathing into the legs and cultivating that soil one last time before the passes up. So good deep breaths flowing in and out. Here, let's begin to deepen our inhales, our exhales. Introduce little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out in ways that feel really nice. Perhaps eventually taking a fetal position off to one side. Enjoying a couple of breaths to tune back into the body. Coming back to presence and awareness. Actually rising up to a comfortable seated place when you feel ready. And as hands come together at our heart, let's tune back into the seed and into the soil again. If it was the seed that felt hard previously, hardened by experiences, maybe that seed is a little bit more willing to crack open, to be soft, to receive soil, to receive sun and water, to start to grow again like it was always meant to. And maybe if it was the soil that was baked, rough, maybe the soil of our legs feels a little bit more receptive, a little bit more kind of mixed up, turned in, moisture added, nutrients added, so it can support that seed. Either way, we take our time forward from this class, remembering the things that we were meant to remember at the beginning of our life. Remembering happiness, remembering fun, remembering just feeling good, present in our bodies and in our minds. So with softening of this seed and its growth to help lead us on, let's wrap up the time we shared together with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. Om. May we be filled with light, happiness, and peace. Namaste.